Hi there, welcome to the Schwowin's Nest. My name is Sandra, and I'm so glad you're here. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, I'd love it if you could hit that red button and stick around a while. Today's projects are all about flipping thrift store items into some really beautiful and simple fall decor. This sign was originally $15 at HomeSense. I got it for $4 and I loved it because it was really super thick, could stand on its own, but it could also be hung on a wall. I'm going to give it a couple of coats of black chalk paint just on the top because I like the way the sides are all rustic and sort of weathered already, but I just want to get rid of that text. I'm using this stencil. It is a cardstock stencil, fairly thick cardstock. And what I did was create the design in Cricut Design Space. And then I had my deep cut blade set with my Cricut Explorer and I had it cut out. It's a really durable stencil and I'll be able to use it multiple times. I'm going to start by using my favorite mushroom chalk paint and give these just a base coat with the Dollar Tree makeup sponges. Once I've completed that color, I'm going to use the same makeup sponge and I'm not going to wash it out and I'm not even waiting until the original paint color is dry because I want to do a lot of blending. I'm using my favorite fall color, which is Americana Deco Art acrylic paint in the color Honey Brown. I'm just going to be dabbing it all over these pumpkins. I'm going to have some in different colors, so I'm just going to it's not really a planned thing. I'm just going to be coloring the ones that I want to be orange, and they will have a little bit of orange and then a little bit of the white showing through, and then a little bit of another color shortly. This next color is sort of a sage green. It's a little lighter than a regular sage and sort of a bluey green. So I wanted to use this just for a few of the pumpkins to add some accents. Again, I'm using the same sponge. I have not washed it. And you can see here that I'm just kind of dabbing it off on the same paper towel. And then I'm just going to go over where I want all of this to be. So I'm starting out by putting it all on the stems, and then I'm going to add a little bit into just a couple of the pumpkins to give them a little bit more of a different color. I love how this stencil turned out. It is just gorgeous. And I love the different colors and tones and textures on the pumpkins. It's very muted and it's very soft and it's just perfect. This year for the fall season, I have decided to go easy on adding words to my projects. I love the farmhouse style and I love that they have the wording. So that's something that I'm still going to be doing, but I wanted to just change it up a little bit. And so I'm just going to be putting this laurel stencil on top. I'm going to start off now first with the sage color, and then I'm going to add a little bit of the honey brown on top of it. Simple and effective and beautiful. Looking at it, even though I love it, I thought it was a bit plain. So I'm taking some of the honey brown paint, diluting it with a little bit of water, and then using my brush and my finger just to tap on some speckles. And since a lot of pumpkins do have speckles, I thought it was the perfect embellishment. I'll also repeat the process with the sage color, and I really love how this turned out, and I hope you love it too. The next thing I took a look at were these cute little frames for 99 cents. They already had the chicken wire on them and a felt background, but I wasn't sure. So instead, I grabbed this picture holder, which is super thick, and it was only $3. I thought this was a great buy, especially since it has the easel in the back, which would make it a really beautiful shelf sitter. So the first thing I'm going to do, of course, is take off the sticker. And when I use these little razors, everything comes off really easily. I'm also going to try and get the ones off on the back. Then I went to my favorite graphic website, which is Creative Fabrica. I'll have a link for you down in the description box, and I'll also have links to both of these specific designs that I downloaded for my project today. I did print this one off on really thick cardstock because I wanted it to be sturdy. I didn't want it to be flappy, like just with using printer paper, then it would look kind of cheap. So I am leaving a little bit of a white border around this paper because I just thought it would add a little bit of a different texture to it. Then I used some sandpaper just to rough up the edges a little bit. And I also went onto the corners, right onto where the print is, and sanded some of that off just to make it look a little bit old and distressed. I really loved the look of this vintage pumpkin, and then I printed this one off on this brown cardstock. Now, you can get all of these different colors of cardstock at your favorite craft stores. I like to go to Michael's, but I got lucky and I found a paper pad at my local dollar store with white, black, and this craft paper brown. So what I'm going to do now is just use a pencil and just mark off where I want this cut in relation to the background paper. To glue these two together, I'm just going to use the Elmer's purple glue stick, and that just held it together fine. I did run my hand over it really hard. You could also use a brayer if you wanted to, but it stuck really well. Using a fine tip Sharpie marker, I made 4 little dots in each of the corners just so it would look like it's tacked onto the original paper. And then I used the same little marker to just go around the edges of the brown paper to make it stand out a little bit better. I liked the color of I like the texture of this little piece, but I wanted to just deepen the color a little bit. It was a little too gray for my project. Of course, it's not going to be a permanent project because I'm just going to be using that little clip to add it on, but I'm just going to take some antiquing wax and just darken it up a little bit. I'm using this little wooden tag. I'm going to give it a little bit of antiquing wax on it as well, and then I'll wipe off the excess. Next, I'm going to take some white paint and just do a little bit of a rounded rectangle on the inside, and then draw just a little simple black lined pumpkin. I used some of the leather twine that I got from Beebee Craft, and I created a little hanger for it and a shoestring bow. I didn't want to hot glue anything to the board. I'm just going to be using the clip. So I decided to just use a dab of hot glue and glue the tag right onto the paper. And I'll do the same thing with the bow, just putting it right on top of the hanger part and then gluing the little strands down so they don't stick out so far. I also forgot to mention that I did paint the little silver hanger in black just to kind of make it a little more dull. And now all I have to do is clip it all together and it made a beautiful fall piece. This last project is using this really beautiful basket. I love how sturdy it is. It's got a flat piece on the back and it has a flat piece on the inside. It's really super strong. So what I'm doing here is just trying out this gray stain, and I decided that it was probably a little bit too bleak, maybe is the color. So I'm going to grab the antiquing wax one more time and I'm really going to give it a nice heavy coat. I want this to be a completely different color. I don't like the gold in this basket. I just love using antiquing wax for these types of projects simply because it's in a liquid form and it will go into all of the little cracks and crevices exactly how I want it to look. And as soon as you start putting it on, it really changes the color of the basket and makes it look a little bit more rustic and old and weathered, which is, of course, my style, my favorite. So I'm going to continue adding the antiquing wax all the way around and then just wiping it back a bit. I didn't want to put anything permanent in this basket because I would love to be able to style it for different seasons and different occasions. So I'm going to be adding a little bit of some fall greenery and some pumpkins. And I think it turned out pretty beautiful. I hope you enjoyed these projects and got some inspiration to create some of your own with some thrift store finds that you might get. Thank you so much for spending some of your time with me today. I truly appreciate it. See you in the next one.